Human beings are storytellers by nature. We do not merely exist in the world, we interpret it. We assign meaning to it and shape our actions based on the stories we believe. These stories determine how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, and what we consider worth pursuing. Without a guiding story, we are lost. We cannot make sense of the world through disconnected facts alone. There must be a framework, a narrative which gives life coherence. The Bible, divinely inspired, has provided the foundational story of Western civilization. It has shaped our understanding of morality, law, human rights, and the purpose of life. However, in the modern world, many have sought to dismantle this story, believing that reason and science alone could replace it. But this attempt has not led to clarity. It has led to confusion. In rejecting the guiding narrative of meaning, modern thought has often reduced everything to power and pleasure. The consequences of these shifts are profound. If we live without a meaningful story, we find ourselves in chaos. Life becomes fragmented. There is no direction, no purpose, and no guiding principles. Without a story, there is no goal. And without a goal, there is no hope. This leads to despair, a sense that nothing matters, that our actions are futile, and that suffering has no redeeming purpose. A culture without a shared story drifts aimlessly, and an individual without a personal narrative feels lost. Two dominant narratives have emerged in the absence of meaning: the story of power and the story of pleasure. If everything is about power, then all relationships become struggles for dominance. Marriage is no longer a union of love and sacrifice, but a battleground for control. Friendships are no longer bonds of trust, but strategic alliances. Political and social life becomes endless conflicts, where everyone is pitted against everyone else. This is a recipe for division and strife. If power is the only reality, then might makes right, and there is no room for mutual respect, dignity, or compassion. Hedonism, the belief that pleasure is the highest goal, may seem appealing, but it is unsustainable. The pursuit of pleasure without meaning eventually leads to emptiness and bitterness. When pleasure is the only purpose, relationships become transactional and people become disposable. A society built on hedonism cannot foster long-term stability because it prioritizes short-term gratification over responsibility and commitment. Both of these stories, power and pleasure, ultimately lead to suffering, not fulfillment. They create societies that are unstable and individuals who are anxious, restless, and deeply unsatisfied. Is there an alternative to these destructive narratives? What kind of story can unite people, provide purpose, and create a society where individuals can flourish? The biblical tradition, particularly the teachings found in the Gospels, offer a different path. It presents a story where love, sacrifice, and responsibility replace power and self-indulgence as the highest values. In this story, power is not to be hoarded but used in service to others. Leadership is not about dominance but about guiding with wisdom and humility. Pleasure is not an end in itself but a byproduct of meaningful relationships and purpose-driven living. This story aligns personal fulfillment with societal well-being. It suggests that true joy is found not in selfish indulgence, but in meaningful work, deep relationships, and the pursuit of truth. For the individual, embracing a meaningful story requires personal responsibility. It means recognizing that life is not just about what one can take, but about what one can build. It involves choosing discipline over impulse, commitment over convenience, and love over self-interest. It means seeing suffering not as meaningless, but as something that can be transformed into wisdom and strength. For society, a shared narrative is essential for unity. A civilization without a common moral foundation is vulnerable to decay. The Bible's influence on concepts such as human dignity, justice, and mercy has helped shape some of the most stable and prosperous societies in history. Even those who do not accept its theological claims can recognize its value as a source of moral and ethical wisdom. Every individual and every culture must choose a guiding story. A world without a story leads to confusion and despair. A world ruled by power leads to conflict. A world ruled by pleasure leads to emptiness. But a world guided by meaning, A story that emphasizes responsibility, love, and the pursuit of higher truths offers a path toward both personal fulfillment and societal harmony. The Bible, especially the Gospels, presents such a story.